Hey guys, it's Saneth here again. Today's video is all about what not to do in Cancun, Mexico. So I actually have 15 things that I learned that you should not be doing. So just to let you guys know, my sister and I went on a girls trip just recently to Cancun, Mexico. And this was actually one of my dream destinations to go to since I was like 18 years old. And so many things happened and I did not get to go, but we finally went. And let me just tell you, Cancun, Mexico, because that's the only part I went to, is absolutely beautiful. But this video is all about some things that went a little bit wrong, and I want to just let you guys know, don't do this. So while I'm doing this video, I'm gonna sneak some pictures in there showing you guys me and my sister having an awesome time. But I want to give you the backstory behind the pictures, because although we always make best of every situation, there was things that happened that we had to turn into a better situation because it was just not what we expected. So the first thing I want to tell you that you should not do is don't book a food tour. Like, I'm telling you, you don't need to do that. There's literally restaurants everywhere. There's street food like everywhere, so you don't need to book a food tour. My sister and I booked a food tour that cost 55 American dollars per person. I'm not going to tell you where we booked it from because I just don't want to make that company look bad, but we did pay $55 per person. We went to 5 locations, and it turns out 4 out of the 5 places we went to already, and one of them sucked. Well, it didn't really suck. I would just say it was just really overpriced and it wasn't worth it. If you're looking to go splurge in Cancun, Mexico, then you can go ahead. But we were looking to have a good time on a budget. We ended up actually at the same place that we were last night. So I'm just gonna give you guys a tip. Any tours that you're gonna do when you go to a new country, you do it before you start doing your own little tour. To be honest, I don't usually even have this type of opinion, but that tour wasn't great at all. So I want to recommend, prior to going there, do some research about the foods you want to try. And then when you get there, do a Google search on restaurants as close to where you are or in a location within Cancun, Mexico that you want to go to. And then just go. You don't need to book a food tour. And I'm telling you, the main reason why I want to say don't book a food tour is because we went to those places already and everything was so cheap. Like, it didn't make sense that we paid $55 per person for food that costs like less than $5. For instance, street taco is between 25 to 50 pesos, and that's equivalent to about $1.50 to no more than $3. If you go to a restaurant, it's probably going to be anywhere between 75 pesos to at most 150 pesos. 150 pesos is probably about $7. So it did not make sense that we booked a food tour and we only got one taco. And this food tour actually had really good reviews, so I didn't understand what that was about. The second thing you should not do is book your accommodation in the hotel zone. Guys, if you're a budget traveler like myself, booking your accommodations in the hotel zone is crazy. It's so expensive. And you have to keep in mind, you're staying in a hotel, so you're in a room that you're probably going to have to share with someone else. If you're going with your partner, that's a different story because you're going to share a room anyway. But if you're going with your family, how many rooms are you going to book at like $300 to $700 per night? And in my opinion, the hotel zone is kind of overrated. I didn't actually stay there, just to be honest with you, but I did go to the area and there is lots of things to do and there's restaurants there, but they're overpriced just because of the area. If you're a budget traveler, I recommend staying in the downtown area. You can have the same things as far as the nightlife, doing activities, and things like that without paying the amount of money you would pay going to the hotel zone. If that's your preference to stay in the hotel zone, that's a different story. But this is for people who are budget travelers and looking to have a good time on a budget. The only thing I recommend going to the hotel zone for is if you want to go shopping in a mall or going to the beach. The beaches are definitely a plus. You gotta go visit, but I wouldn't recommend actually staying there. You can take an Uber or the bus to go to the beach, spend your day, and then go back to your Airbnb or hotel in the downtown area. The third thing, and I should have actually made this number 1, is to not pay for conversion fees. Guys, you do not have to pay that fee. Be mindful of where you're going to go get cash from, or when you are going to get cash at an ATM, make sure you don't choose the option of converting the money. You don't need to convert the money. If you want to figure out how much $1 is equivalent to in pesos, do a Google search. You don't have to convert the money. Believe it or not, the conversion fees are up to $70. So if you're getting $300 from the ATM, you're really taking out of your account $370. When you go to a restaurant and you pay with your credit or debit card, make sure you choose the option of paying with pesos, because when you do the conversion rate, it's actually higher than what your bank rate is going to be. So for instance, my sister and I went out to a really budget friendly bar. The drinks were literally like $1 per piece. That's like 20 pesos. So once we were finished and we got our bill, it was equivalent to 15 American dollars at the converted rate. Once we did the calculations, we realized the actual cost was $11. So we were able to avoid paying that additional $3 to $4 because we knew not to choose the option of converting it to American dollars. The fourth thing you should not do is pay for a carry-on or check-in baggage. Unless you're gonna go stay in Cancun, Mexico for a month, then you do not need to pack that much clothes. As a budget traveler, I recommend going the cheapest route possible. You wanna have fun where you're going and enjoy using your money towards other things like activities, food, events, etc. So why waste money paying for a carry-on or a check-in baggage when you don't need to? My sister and I actually went on Spirit Airline. I took a backpack and she also took this cute little bag that she bought on Amazon. It was like $12. Her bag was small enough / big enough to carry everything she needed for 5 days, including her shoes, makeup, so many other things. And my backpack was able to carry 2 laptops, my shoes, clothing for 5 days, makeup, everything that I needed. So guys, you do not have to pay for a carry-on or a check-in baggage. What you can do is try to fold your clothes as tight as possible and everything is gonna fit in there. The fifth thing I wanna say not to do is don't overpay for accommodation. Guys, you have an option of staying in a hostel, and some of the hostels are actually pretty nice. We were gonna stay in a hostel, but we decided not to because I was still working while I was traveling, so we decided to go with an Airbnb. We actually paid about $250 for 5 days at our Airbnb, which is an amazing deal. That's like $25 a night. And on top of that, our Airbnb host was so amazing. They actually arranged for a doctor or nurse to come visit us at the Airbnb to have our COVID test done to go home. And on top of that, they actually arranged for us to have a taxi come meet us at the airport. Guys, if you want to book that Airbnb, I'm going to leave the link in the comments. If you're considering being a host at Airbnb for people like myself, make sure you click the link in the description. The sixth thing that you should not do is overpay for food, guys. If you go to the downtown area, there is so much restaurants and street foods. There's so many restaurants that has a 5-star rating, and the food is very budget friendly. And it's really good, and it's so cheap. So you don't have to overpay for food. The key is to do some research on the restaurants in your area or the location that you want to go to before you go there, so you actually have better options available to you. Or you can go to the Parque Las Palapas. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is a place where there's a whole lot of vendors selling tacos, empanadas, churros, and so many things that's cooked right in front of you. It's fresh and it's very budget friendly. My sister and I were getting tacos and empanadas for like 25 pesos. That's $1, and it's so tasty. And there's also activities for kids. You can go shopping over there. There's also music. We saw people dancing and having fun. And there's many restaurants right around that area. There's lots of bars as well. So you don't have to pay so much for food. You can just go to that area and have an amazing time. And it's just literally going to be a whole day worth of things in that one specific area. The seventh thing I want to say is don't pay for tours. Guys, you don't have to pay for a tour. You can go to places on your own. And if you're a licensed driver, you can rent a car and go almost anywhere on your own instead of paying for someone to take you there. And then you also have to be with other people that you don't know. So you don't have to pay for tours. Do some research prior to going there and then go on your own. A lot of the tours are just overpriced in my opinion. And that leads into number 8 of what you should not do. And this, guys, is a recommendation only when you have kids. A lot of people like myself usually do the tour that goes to the Mayan temple. Guys, in my opinion, if you have kids, I do not recommend it. Those tours are between 8 to 12 hours. If you have young children, I don't recommend it. It's just way too long. If you have a teenager, and I would even say a teenager over 16 years old, then you can go. I have an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old, and there's no way that they can do it. So I don't recommend it if you have young kids because it's just not gonna be great for them. If you're driving, you can probably make it more fun for them. But if you're gonna book a tour, you're actually going on a bus with many other people you don't know, and then you have to keep your kids entertained for like 3 hours of driving to the site location. Number 9 of what not to do is don't always trust every Google recommendation. So my sister and I decided we wanted to go out to eat, and we Googled a location. It was about 500 reviews, almost a 5-star rating. And when we got there, we were like, oh no, we are not going in there. So we realized that the location that we went to was a place mostly for people who are younger than us or just looking to like party hard and have a good time, which is great, but that's just not what we were looking for. And we totally did not read that in the reviews. So once we got there, the music was like loud and it was just not what we were expecting because we went to other locations with loud music. But from the music that was playing, we could tell like this was just a more like high school / college students who were there to party. So make sure you read about 100 reviews in, and then always leave options open to go somewhere else because the place may not be what you expect. Keep in mind that a lot of people that go to Cancun, Mexico are usually spring breakers like college students, etc. So that place was really for that crowd, and we didn't feel comfortable going there. We already knew once we walked in there, everybody would be staring. So we avoided that and just left. The next thing I want to tell you guys not to do is to pay for a taxi at the airport. The taxis at the airport is so overpriced. If you can arrange a taxi service to pick you up when you arrive, try to do that. If you can't arrange it prior to coming, then it's fine. Just know that that's going to be the most expensive taxi service that you're going to be paying for throughout your whole time there. The next thing I want to tell you guys not to do is don't arrange taxi service through the local taxi because they're kind of more overpriced. So I recommend downloading the Uber app and then ordering an Uber. It is so cheap. When my sister and I was going places that was about 15 to 20 minutes away, we were paying no more than, I would say at most $6. That's American dollars. Most of our rides was about $3.50. So I recommend going with Uber when you want to travel around Cancun, Mexico. Guys, the next thing I want to tell you is don't overeat. When you go to Mexico, you're going to see that the portions are probably 2 to 3 times bigger than the portions that you would normally have when you're going out to eat wherever you live. Because I've traveled around the United States and I've never had a portion size as big as I've had when I was in Cancun. So I recommend try to eat the same portion size that you would normally eat when you're home because you're just gonna get sick. My sister and I did not follow my advice, and when we came back, we had to deal with the repercussions of our actions. So make sure you try to eat smaller portions or just share your meal with someone else. You could save more money if you do it that way. Guys, the next thing I want to tell you guys not to do is if you're gonna go to a restaurant that's telling you they have $1 alcoholic drinks, don't fall for it. Buy the beers instead because the drinks are watered down. It's just not worth it. It doesn't make sense to get $7 drinks and not even feel anything. The only thing you're going to do is keep going to the bathroom. So you may as well just get 7 beers. You can get the Mexican beers, which are usually pretty good. So you're better off getting a regular beer than getting one of the drinks prepared by the bartender. The next thing, guys, that I want to tell you not to do is when you're going to the beautiful beach in Cancun, Mexico, make sure you're paying attention to your stop. So don't just sit inside of the taxi and just wait for them to drop you off at your destination, because you can get off at the wrong stop. That almost happened to my sister and I, but I decided to look at my phone while we were driving there. So as the driver was driving, I was looking at the route on my phone, and I realized that we were getting ready to pass the stop we were supposed to get off at. And it was because the directions on Uber actually was going to take us way further out to the end of the beach. I'm not sure where that was, but that's not where we wanted to get off at. So make sure you're keeping track of where you're going and where you're getting off at the beach. Or if you're able to speak in Spanish to the driver, or if you have an English speaking driver, you can just let them know exactly where you want to get off at. The final thing I want to tell you guys is don't go to Mexico without an umbrella. Guys, you're gonna need it, because when we were there, it started raining like crazy. We did not have an umbrella. We got soaking wet when we went outside, and the streets kind of gets flooded. So you want to make sure that you have proper shoes for walking in the water and just an umbrella. I'm not sure what the cost of an umbrella was because we just didn't even check. But if you can find like a small umbrella to just put in your personal bag, that would be great. So guys, I recommend taking an umbrella with you, because you're probably not going to know what the weather is. But all in all, guys, I want to say we had a fabulous trip. So I recommend going to Cancun. You can go with your grandmother, your grandfather, your baby, your aunt, anyone. It's just that type of place for everyone. Just make sure you do your research before you go to restaurants, book a tour, have drinks, go to activities, whatever it is. Do some research so you could avoid the things that I experienced when I got there. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you like this video so that YouTube can share it with other people who want to know what not to do in Mexico. And please make sure you also subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.